Chapter 14, Mishnah 10. The Torah requires the Metzora to bring a log of olive oil to the Beis Hamikdash to be used on the 8th day of his Tahara. The Mishnah describes what was done with the oil. The Kohen takes some of the oil from the log container and pours it into the left palm of his fellow Kohen. If he poured the oil into his own left palm, however, he has fulfilled the obligation, and he may continue with the procedure. The Kohen stands in the courtyard facing the Holy of Holies and dips his right index finger into the oil and sprinkles it 7 times in the direction of the Holy of Holies. For each one of the 7 sprinklings, the Kohen dips his finger separately into the oil. After sprinkling the oil toward the Holy of Holies, the Kohen returns to Nicanor's gate, where the Metzora is still standing. The Metzora again sticks his right ear, right hand, and right foot into the courtyard, this time so that the Kohen can place oil on them. The Kohen approaches the Metzora and applies the oil on the same places that he previously applied the blood of the Asham, that is, on his right ear, thumb, and big toe. As it is stated in Vayikra, chapter 14, verse 28, the Kohen shall place some of the oil that is on his palm on the place of the Asham's blood. The Kohen then takes the oil that remains in the other Kohen's hand after the sprinkling toward the Holy of Holies, and smearing on the Metzora's ear, thumb, and toe, and places it on the Metzora's head, as the next verse continues. And the remainder of the oil that is on the Kohen's palm he shall place on the head of the person being made tahor, to provide him atonement. The Mishnah explains the expression, on the head of the person being made tahor, to provide him atonement. If the Kohen places the oil on the Metzora's head, he provides atonement, i.e. the Metzora becomes tahor. But if he does not place the oil on the Metzora's head, he does not provide atonement, i.e. the Metzora does not become tahor. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva understands the verse as implying that in order for the Metzora to become tahor, this last step that is performed with the leftover oil cannot be omitted. Another Tana disagrees. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says they are only remnants of a mitzvah, i.e. placing the leftover oil on the Metzora's head is not an essential part of the mitzvah, but rather only the remnants of the mitzvah. Therefore, whether the Kohen placed or did not place the oil on the Metzora's head, he has provided atonement, i.e. the Metzora becomes tahor. But in heaven they consider it as if the Kohen did not provide him atonement. After describing which parts of the oil procedure are essential for the Metzora's atonement, the Mishnah discusses another rule about the log of oil. The law is that if some of the oil in the log spills out, the remaining oil becomes invalid for purifying the Metzora, even if other oil is added to the container to replace the missing oil. This law applies, however, only from when the oil is designated for the mitzvah, because at that point, all the oil in the log is established as a single unit. However, if the spill occurred before the log was designated, it is permissible to replace the missing oil with another oil. The Mishnah presents a dispute as to when the oil becomes designated for the mitzvah and new oil cannot be added. If the log of oil became incomplete, for example, some of the oil spilled out, before the Kohen poured from it into the other Kohen's left hand, he may simply refill it. If it became incomplete after he poured from it into the other Kohen's hand, he must bring a new log container of oil. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva holds that the log of oil becomes designated at the time some of it is poured into the Kohen's hand. If part of it then becomes lost, the entire log becomes invalidated and must be replaced with a new one. Another Tana disagrees and maintains that the log does not become designated until the oil is sprinkled toward the Holy of Holies. Rabbi Shimon says if the log became incomplete before the Kohen sprinkled the oil, he may refill it. The log is not designated until the oil is sprinkled 7 times toward the Holy of Holies. Therefore, until that point, the log may be refilled. If it became incomplete after he sprinkled the oil, he must bring a new log container of oil.